it's Sister Marla Clerks from St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. This weekend we move into what we call ordinary time. That doesn't mean it's a time that is insignificant or unimportant. What it means instead is it is time beyond our seasons of Lent and Easter, of Advent and Christmas. But what ordinary time is it looks at the life of Christ from his birth until his death, the ways he chose to serve, the ways he chose to minister, to reach out, the things he tried to teach. And as we walk through these days of ordinary time, to look at ourselves then, how closely are we following Christ in the ways that we serve, in the ways that we minister, in the ways that we do everything we can to be those disciples who are truly imitating his life of openness, of compassion and mercy. The gospel this weekend begins with, "The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few." The harvest of God's love, the harvest of God's riches are abundant, but there aren't enough people who are willing to accept those gifts from God, and especially to take them to others, to remind others of that abundance of God's love and mercy and concern and compassion. And we might wonder, why are the laborers that few? We might even look at ourselves and say, well, I'm a laborer of sorts, but I'm only one. And yet, friends, we know how much difference one person can make in a lifetime, one person can make in society, whether we do it on our own or whether we join some of those programs, some of those ministries that are already in existence. We might say, well, let someone else. I've done my time. I volunteered when I was younger. Let the younger people step up now. Well, and hopefully they do. But we know that Jesus continued to minister, continued to reach out, continued to heal, continued to serve people until the moment of his death, and even on the cross he did so. So we too are to say, not until the end of our time, not until the end of our days do we stop ministering. Our ministry may change because of our time or our energy levels, but we don't end. We look out to what else we can do to help bring in that harvest. There are some times when we limit or want to limit who can be one of those harvesters, one of those laborers. We might think it's only for people in specific positions or with degrees. We might feel that it's only for those who are adults, that it's only for men, only for women. And yet we know that those are some of the limitations we place on who is a laborer. Those are not the limitations of God, but only of us. We also might look at our ministry, our being laborers, and say, but what's the cost to me personally? Is it going to cost me financially? Will it ever cost parts of my reputation? How much time and energy will it cost me? But again, the gospel ends with that powerful line, without cost you have received. Without cost you are to give. God has given the abundance of blessings in our lives, in the gift of life itself, without our earning it, without our being deserving of any of it, but just freely given. And so we too are to freely give in return, not to expect things from others, not to expect payback from people, not to expect recognition, but to give out of the freedom that God has given to us. And so, friends, as we listen to the scripture readings, let's continue to find ways when we put our own names on that list of those who are willing to be laborers in God's field.